Harvard University controls $56.9 billion, but that wealth doesn't sit in a static vault. It operates as a complex, perpetual financial engine. When people hear a number that large, the immediate question is obvious. If the university has that much money, why do they charge tuition at all? Why not just spend the cash to solve global crises today? Academic endowments operate under a unique set of legal and structural constraints that prevent the administration from using the capital like a standard corporate savings account. Instead, every decision is governed by a singular, unbending legal mandate, known as the intergenerational principle. The mandate dictates that the fund must preserve its exact purchasing power over time. A student arriving on campus a century from now, in 2025, must receive the exact same level of financial support as a student enrolling in 2025. Achieving that impossible balancing act requires a highly regulated system. The university has to continuously extract billions of dollars to operate today, while simultaneously growing the principal to guarantee its survival for tomorrow. To keep that system running, the university relies on the Harvard Management Company, or HMC. Established in 1974 and currently led by CEO N.P. Narvekar, HMC acts as the operators of the endowment. They use a hybrid outsourced model, moving past standard public stocks and bonds to allocate capital across external hedge funds, venture capital, and real estate to chase higher returns. But aggressive targets come with illiquidity risk. By locking massive amounts of capital into long-term private equity or natural resources, the university cannot easily cash out if the global market suddenly crashes. Because the capital is tied up, HMC uses a strict regulator valve to extract cash safely. Harvard mathematically restricts its annual payout distribution rate to typically between 4.5 and 5.5% of the fund's trailing average market value. To protect against inflation risk, any investment return earned above that 5% limit bypasses the valve and is ruthlessly reinvested back into the principal. Without that strict payout cap and the constant reinvestment loop, standard economic inflation would slowly eat the fund's purchasing power alive, violating their core intergenerational mandate. In a portfolio this large, that 5% extraction represents massive capital. For fiscal year 2025, that target rate resulted in a $2.5 billion cash payout. This chart breaks down the university's $6.7 billion operating budget, and it reveals how vital that extraction is. The endowment provides 37% of Harvard's entire revenue. It is their single largest source of income, heavily dwarfing the 22% generated by student tuition. Which brings us back to the most common public critique. If the endowment payout outweighs tuition, why can't the administration redirect that $2.5 billion to eliminate tuition entirely or fund arbitrary new projects? They legally cannot. The endowment is actually a fragmented ecosystem of over 14,000 individual microfunds, strictly locked to the specific, legally binding intent of the donors. The administrators must allocate the streams exactly as requested. That's why over $750 million of the annual payout goes strictly toward undergraduate and graduate financial aid and scholarships. The rest is locked into keeping the academic machinery running, funding endowed professorships to recruit world-class researchers, operating massive libraries, and maintaining the physical infrastructure required for high-level medical trials. This structure leaves the university president with surprisingly little discretionary power, tasked instead with maintaining a massive, highly targeted life support system composed of 14,000 restricted arteries. To trace the origin of this machinery, we have to go back almost 400 years to 1638 to a Puritan minister named John Harvard. He planted the initial seed for the college, bequeathing half his estate, valued at just £779, and his 400-book library to the newly founded school in Cambridge. Over the next 4 centuries, tens of thousands of alumni, philanthropists, and organizations layered real estate gifts, major capital trusts, and direct donations on top of that modest seed to build the modern asset base. Protecting that wealth requires constant defense. The fund is continually exposed to geopolitical volatility and inflation, and legislative changes, such as the federal excise tax targeting elite university endowments, which directly cuts into their net returns. Yet, despite market crashes and political pressure, the strict mathematical discipline of capping withdrawals and relying on compound growth is what allows the university to survive. This $56.9 billion engine stands as a masterclass in financial engineering, a perpetual motion machine, guaranteeing that John Harvard's centuries-old gift will continue funding the pursuit of human knowledge, literally forever.